A warning to our viewers. This documentary contains real footage and disturbing details about the death of a child which many viewers may find deeply disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Evelyn is my whole world. These words echoed across Tennessee newscasts in February 2020 as a young mother named Megan Boswell pleaded for her missing daughter's return. Tears streamed down her face as she begged for answers. But even as those tears fell, even as she stood before news cameras making emotional pleas, baby Evelyn lay just yards away from where her mother slept each night. The 15-month-old's body was wrapped in aluminum foil, stuffed into a trash can, hidden inside Megan's own childhood playhouse. Her mother's fingerprints would be found pressed into both the foil around her baby's face and the trash can itself. For months, she wove 11 different stories about her daughter's disappearance, each tale more elaborate than the last. But the truth would shake even hardened detectives to their core. Every time this mother begged for her daughter's safe return on national television, she knew exactly where baby Evelyn was and what she had done to her. Early 2020. As America stood on the precipice of an unprecedented pandemic, life in the small town of Blountville, Tennessee still moved at its familiar, unhurried pace. Nestled in the heart of Sullivan County, where the Appalachian Mountains paint the horizon, this tight-knit community of just over 3,000 souls represented everything quintessentially small-town American. Here, downtown storefronts still displayed local wares, the historic Czech village was experiencing a renaissance, and neighbors gathered for morning coffee at family-owned diners that had served the same recipes for generations. But on a bitter February morning, as frost etched patterns on window panes and chimney smoke curled into the winter sky, an Amber Alert pierced through cell phones across the state. The message was troubling not just for what it said, but for what it implied. A 15-month-old girl named Evelyn Mae Boswell was missing. Then came the detail that would stop investigators in their tracks. No one outside the family had seen baby Evelyn since December. 2 months had passed without a single sighting. In Blountville, where a new car in a driveway made the morning gossip at the local diner, where every face was familiar and every story was known, how could a baby simply vanish for 2 months without anyone raising the alarm? The answer would uncover a darkness that had been hiding in plain sight, right in the heart of small-town America. Evelyn Mae Boswell came into the world in November 2018, a bright-eyed baby girl with strawberry blonde hair and a smile that could light up a room. Despite the circumstances of her birth, to a mother who was barely 17, those who knew the family say little Evelyn brought joy wherever she went. Her mother, Megan Boswell, was herself just a child when Evelyn was born. Born into a fractured home, Megan's early years were marked by instability. Her mother, Angela, had married Megan's father, Tommy, when she was just 15, and their household was troubled by drug use and domestic violence. By the time Megan entered the foster care system as a pregnant teenager, she was, according to her foster mother, Gail Kite, one of the worst cases of neglect she had seen in 15 years of fostering. Malnourished, traumatized, and scared, 17-year-old Megan arrived with her hair so matted with lice that it couldn't be combed. But something changed when Evelyn was born. Those who knew Megan said she seemed determined to give her daughter everything she never had. She took Evelyn to every scheduled doctor's appointment. She celebrated each milestone. For a while, it seemed like this baby girl might be the miracle that would break the cycle of trauma. Even Megan's grandmother, known to the family as Omami, would later testify that Megan appeared to be a devoted mother. "We loved her, so we kept her a lot," she would tell the court, speaking of the times Megan and baby Evelyn would stay with her. But beneath this picture of maternal devotion, something darker was brewing. Something that would eventually shatter not just a family, but an entire community's trust. As we go into the most chilling details of this documentary, take a brief moment to like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, for more in-depth investigations and analysis of significant cases like this. By the winter of 2019, something began to shift. The changes were subtle at first, so subtle that no single person could piece together the disturbing puzzle that was forming. Sue Whitson, Evelyn's babysitter, was among the first to notice troubling signs. "I'd never seen a diaper rash that bad," she would later testify, her voice breaking as she recalled the infant's condition. It was the kind of neglect that should have raised red flags, but at the time seemed like it could be explained away. Then came the absences. Friends like Caitlin Carter began noticing something odd. Megan was showing up places more frequently without baby Evelyn. When asked, there was always an explanation. Evelyn was with her father, with her grandmother, sleeping at home. The excuses seemed plausible enough at first. Dr. Barbara E. Pugh, Evelyn's pediatrician, noted a disturbing pattern. After regular checkups for the first 9 months of her life, Evelyn was brought in for one final sick visit at 10.5 months. Then, nothing. The crucial 12-month checkup came and went without any contact. Even more concerning were the observations of Erica Stacy, whose son had dated Megan. She recalled something chilling, Megan referring to her baby as mean. It was a comment that would later take on a more sinister meaning. These weren't just changes in a young mother's behavior. They were the first threads of a dark tapestry that was being woven, one that wouldn't become clear until it was too late. The last confirmed sighting of baby Evelyn alive was in December 2019. After that, Megan Boswell began crafting a web of stories so intricate that it would take investigators months to untangle the truth from the lies. December 26, 2019, Megan told officers this was the last time she'd seen her daughter, claiming she'd left Evelyn with the baby's father, Ethan Perry, but Perry, stationed with the military, was thousands of miles away. He would later testify that not only had he not seen Evelyn, DNA tests would reveal he wasn't even her biological father. By February 18, 2020, Tommy Boswell Sr., Megan's father, could no longer shake the feeling that something was wrong. He filed the missing person report that would finally bring baby Evelyn's disappearance to light. "Don't get mad at me when I say this," he would later confront his daughter in a recorded police interview, "but I don't think you're telling the truth." As investigators pressed for answers, Megan's stories began to multiply. First, she claimed Evelyn was with her father. When that lie crumbled, she accused her own mother, Angela Boswell, of taking Evelyn to a campground in Virginia. But detectives found no trace of the child there. In a series of television interviews on February 21st, Megan spun yet another tale. She claimed she knew who had Evelyn, but couldn't reveal their identity because they would flee with her daughter, all while surveillance footage and cell phone records would later show Megan going about her life, even applying for an apartment with her new boyfriend, conspicuously leaving Evelyn's name off the lease. Former FBI agent Paul Durant would later uncover messages where Megan claimed to be in a custody battle that didn't exist. She sent photos she claimed were recent, but digital forensics proved they were months old, taken when Evelyn was still alive. Each story seemed crafted to buy more time, to deflect more questions. But as one detective would later observe, she told us pieces of the truth, just never enough to find Evelyn. As investigators dug deeper, baby Evelyn's case revealed a disturbing pattern of calculated deception. FBI Special Agent Paul Durant uncovered a digital trail that painted a chilling picture of a mother living a double life. While the community searched frantically for her missing daughter, Megan's social media told a different story. She posted about new relationships, shared photos at an aquarium with her new boyfriend, and made plans for a future that conspicuously didn't include Evelyn. Cell phone records revealed something even more disturbing. A text message claiming someone was following her, sent during the critical period, was just another fabrication. Digital forensics would show Megan crafting careful alibis through her phone, sending messages that investigators would later prove were deliberately misleading. The apartment where Megan had lived told its own story. Maintenance worker Austin Feller, who cleaned out the space, described conditions that suggested neglect. But it was what investigators didn't find that spoke volumes. No signs of the loving home Megan claimed she'd made for her daughter. Key witnesses began coming forward. Hunter Wood's father, Randy Wood, described how his son's mental health deteriorated under the weight of Megan's accusations. Ethan Perry, once thought to be Evelyn's father, revealed the shock of discovering he wasn't the baby's biological parent, another of Megan's carefully constructed lies. But it was Megan's own father who would break the case wide open. On March 6, 2020, Tommy Boswell Sr. made a call that would change everything. He told investigators about a storage building on his property and a playhouse that hadn't been checked. Special Agent Brian Fraley approached the playhouse that evening. What he found would haunt him forever. Leaves in the child's hair, insects on the body, and later, most chillingly, Megan's fingerprints pressed into both the aluminum foil wrapped around her daughter's face and the trash can that had become Baby Evelyn's tomb. The playhouse, once a symbol of childhood innocence, had become the final piece of evidence in a case that would shake even veteran investigators to their core. March 6, 2020. As dusk settled over the Boswell property, investigators made their way to the weathered playhouse. What they found inside would answer the questions that had haunted Tennessee for weeks, but those answers would prove more horrifying than anyone had imagined. TBI agent Brian Fraley would later testify about the scene that greeted them. Behind the playhouse, they discovered a trash can. Inside, wrapped in layer upon layer of material, lay the body of 15-month-old Evelyn Mae Boswell. Leaves were tangled in her hair, telling their own story of how long she had lain there, forgotten. Dr. Darinka Milusnik-Pochen, the medical examiner, made a discovery that would shake even seasoned investigators. Aluminum foil had been tightly wrapped around the child's face. The investigation would reveal something even more chilling. Her mother's fingerprints were found pressed deeply into that foil, as if it had been compressed with force. TBI forensic scientist David Hoover's analysis was unequivocal. 4 distinct fingerprints matched Megan Boswell, 1 partial print on the rim of the trash can, 2 on the trash bag itself, and most damningly, 1 clear print on the aluminum foil wrapped around her daughter's face. There was no room for doubt, no possibility of misidentification. Dr. Matrina Schmidt's autopsy findings would reveal the heartbreaking truth. Baby Evelyn had died from asphyxiation. The playhouse that should have been filled with a child's laughter had become the silent witness to an unthinkable crime. The prosecution's case against Megan Boswell would reveal a pattern of deception so elaborate that it stunned even veteran courthouse observers. At its center was a mother who hadn't just hidden her crime. She had performed for the cameras while her daughter lay dead mere yards from where she slept. Dr. Matrina Schmidt's testimony left no room for doubt. The cause of death, homicidal violence, she stated firmly. When the defense suggested other possibilities, her response was resolute. I ruled it out. Dr. Milusnik-Pochen would independently confirm these findings, describing clear evidence of asphyxiation, a deliberate act, not a tragic accident. FBI analysis of Megan's phones and social media painted a disturbing timeline. While the community searched frantically for Evelyn, Megan was busy creating a new life. She applied for an apartment with her boyfriend, Hunter Wood, marking herself as pregnant with a 3rd resident, but deliberately omitting any mention of Evelyn. Federal agent Paul Durant uncovered messages that revealed calculated deception. In December, she told her boyfriend that Evelyn doesn't want to come home with me. By February, she was claiming to be in a non-existent custody battle. Each story was crafted to buy more time, to deflect more questions. Most chilling were Megan's activities during the concealment period. As her daughter lay hidden in that trash can, she visited an aquarium, posted about her new relationship, and continued crafting elaborate lies. Assistant District Attorney Amber Massengill would tell the jury, she just went on with her life as if Evelyn had never existed. The prosecution's timeline was devastating. From December to February, while baby Evelyn lay wrapped in aluminum foil in that playhouse, her mother had given 11 different accounts of her whereabouts. She had accused her own mother of kidnapping, claimed the father had custody, and even invented a story about a campground in Virginia, all while knowing exactly where her daughter was. The words of prosecutor William Harper. She showed Evelyn the same compassion and grace that she now asks for from this jury. None at all. After a week of haunting testimony, the fate of Megan Boswell rested in the hands of 12 jurors. They had heard from 30 witnesses, seen the devastating evidence, and watched as the facade of a grieving mother crumbled under the weight of irrefutable proof. The testimony of Angela Boswell, Megan's mother, laid bare the cycle of trauma that had shaped her daughter's life. "I failed her miserably," she told the court through tears. But it was Megan's father's words that still echoed in the courtroom. "Don't get mad at me when I say this, but I don't think you're telling the truth." After just 4.5 hours of deliberation, on February 13, 2025, the jury returned. The verdict was unanimous on all 19 counts. Guilty. Guilty of first-degree murder. Guilty of aggravated child abuse. Guilty of every lie she had told to cover her tracks. When the jury returned to decide her sentence, they heard one final plea from her foster mother, Gail Kite. "This child has been traumatized. She made bad mistakes that have to be paid for, but I don't think she's irredeemable." The jury's decision: life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 51 years. Megan Boswell, who was just 17 when she gave birth to Evelyn, would be in her 70s before she could hope for freedom. For the residents of Sullivan County, the case left an indelible mark. The Playhouse, once a symbol of childhood innocence, now stands as a reminder of unthinkable betrayal. TBI director David Rausch would later reflect, "Justice was finally served, but this case was both challenging and heartbreaking." In the end, baby Evelyn's story is more than a tragedy. It's a reminder of how darkness can hide behind the most familiar faces in the most ordinary places. A mother's tears on television, a playhouse in a backyard, a small town where everyone knows everyone, until they don't. For the people of Sullivan County, nothing would ever be quite the same. The Playhouse still stands on that property, no longer a symbol of childhood joy, but a monument to innocence betrayed. Every resident who lived through those 54 days of searching now carries a piece of Evelyn's story. Perhaps the most haunting truth is the simplest one. Evelyn Mae Boswell existed. She was real. She was loved. And in the words of prosecutor Amber Alert, Evelyn should not be remembered for how she died, but for who she was. A bright-eyed 15-month-old little girl who deserves so much more than the truth of what happened in that playhouse. If you enjoyed this content, join our community by subscribing and turning on notifications. Every subscriber makes it possible for us to keep creating content we're passionate about sharing with you.